think we're here today to try and inform as many veterans as we can. We're here with Dr. Bash.
Welcome, Radio Land, TV Land, and YouTube viewers and listeners. This is Dr. Craig Bash. I've been doing veterans medical opinions for 30 years, and I have dozens and dozens of these radio shows which we're going to publish on this YouTube channel, and number 1 through whatever. So thank you for listening, and here we go.
Getting back to this ramp thing, Dr. Bash.
Yeah.
Have you had very much a good experience with it, or much dealings with it?
Well, like I said, the main thing I've seen so far is I just see them start to talk about relevant evidence. They used to talk about new material evidence, but now I saw a couple of decisions where they're talking about relevant evidence. So they're starting to get it ramped up, and a couple of the decisions came out. They're going to be in the ramp format because the ramp has certain rules where they have to list the laws that apply, and they have to list the positive evidence. And so there's a couple of decisions I saw. It said positive evidence none. They said none, and that's all they put. And then they said that the relevant evidence, there wasn't any new relevant evidence. So they got rid of the new evidence, and they said there was no positive evidence. So the decisions are going to be very kind of cut and dried. I think. So when I send my stuff in, I'm going to document it. If this is positive, supportive evidence, I'm going to say this is all relevant, new evidence, so that they have to address it.
Well, I did read something else, Dr. Bash, about they're coming up with a deal on foster care for veterans. Have you heard of that?
No. Tell me what you know.
Where a family can take a veteran in just like they would a foster child, only it'd be a foster veteran, I was reading an article on that, and they started it, as far as I can tell, up here in up towards Springfield there. And they had a VA center there started it, and they was taking in, like, evidently homeless veterans or someone didn't have no one to care for them, and they were elderly, and they started a foster care program. Mount Vernon, Missouri is where it was started.
So the veteran can use their benefits for the family, and does the family get any benefits from it, or they just provide humanitarian?
That I don't know yet. I just run into this the other day and was reading it, and I thought, well, for some veterans it may turn out to be a good thing. I have to learn more about it, but it's something new that they're working with.
Yeah. We kind of have that informally. Over the years, we kind of have that informally where veterans helping veterans, like your radio show and stuff I do. We all try and help each other.
Yeah.
This is a housing thing. You can have room and board and stuff.
Yeah, and help them with keep their meds straight and this and that. Now it's not for every veteran, of course, but it would, someone by themselves and they're up there in age and they just got to have help. It's certainly a family that would take them in or something like that. It could be very beneficial. Keep them off the street.
Yeah.
You want to see veterans out on the street passing away.
No. That's a win-win.
It could be a win-win for some veterans. Like I say, it wouldn't work for me. I got enough kids and grandkids. They better take care of me. Or hope I ain't too sick to whoop them. But anyway, that is something that I've run into, and I wondered if you'd heard about that program.
Nope. I hadn't come across it. No.
Now, I'll have to check it out further. But this ramp, like I say, it's going to take some doing to get it proved up to me. I got a bad feeling about it, and maybe that's just me.
Well, they get that higher level review thing too, you know, that they talk about. Which, if you go down that pathway, then you don't get to put new evidence in. And I don't know why a higher level review necessarily would be any better than the first review. You know, if there's nothing new to look at. But if it's a DRO, like a DRO where they do a de novo review of the whole case. I had an interesting case. You know, people talk about CUEs, but I had a case with a guy who had CUE. And they wrote it up as like on his bowel. They didn't find he had bleeding bowel, and they didn't work him up, and he had polyps. But they treated the polyps, so he got a 0% for polyp disease. But in the process of the CUE, the DRO looked up his record and found out that they made a CUE in his feet, flat feet, plantar fasciitis, and he got a 50% rating for his feet on his second. It was the second CUE off the first one. So, but you know, those DROs have a lot of time to look at those records. I think in a higher level review, they're just going to be sort of a cursory review again. It's not going to be an in-depth analysis. It might not really result in that much of a different outcome, you know.
Well, doggone. It go in for one thing, get rated for another.
That's good.
Yeah, that turned out good for him. But
yes, this higher level review. There's also some psychology going on, because if it's in the same station, you know, if Smith is reviewing Jones's work and they live in the same building and work together for 20 years, you know, it's hard for them to be totally objective. You know, they kind of just maybe go along with the other guy. I think it's going to be hard to have a really good objective higher level review, but we'll see.
Well, the problem I've seen is they take and look at the last Raiders decision, and then they go from it. Yeah. They don't give their own opinion. They go from the last Raiders opinion, and that goes nowhere.
Yep, I had a case today just like that. The guy had peripheral neuropathy, like we're talking about, maybe
yes.
You know, on the basis of, and he also had spinal cord disease, and with leg neuropathy and radiculopathy and problems. So the first rater, 10 years ago, looked at the record a little bit and saw that the guy was claiming peripheral neuropathy. The rater looked at the record and said, "Oh, he has spinal cord disease. That's not peripheral neuropathy. That's a different type of neuropathy." So he said the record doesn't have the diagnosis and denied it. One sentence. The record doesn't have the diagnosis and denied it. He never looked at the rest of the record to see that peripheral neuropathy was already diagnosed 5 years before. So then the second rater comes along and does the same thing. It says, it's longer, yada yada yada. No diagnosis, and denies it. And the third guy, he had 3 denials the same way all the way down. So it's probably going to be a CUE case, because they obviously didn't read the record and see that he had peripheral neuropathy along with spinal cord, two processes. One disease. It's back to that idea of one disease again. He had 2 diseases.
My lands. Well, that's what we're running into. That's one of the major problems I think I'd see with the claims process is the first rater, and then the second rater, and the third rater. They're all reading the same doggone and writing nearly the same report. And they change a word or two, and that's it. But it's actually the same doggone finding.
Yeah.
It's just because they didn't want to do their job. They just copied what this one done. So the system has generated a quagmire on its own doing. That's by design. I mean, they're lazy. They don't want to read the report and give a factual finding or opinion.
Yeah.
And that's hurt a lot of veterans. So, but means we know it's something that you can keep fighting with. Although it can go on for years before you get someone with a third grade education that can read something. Not to badmouth the VA, of course.
Well, the Social Security is kind of going to the same thing. They kind of shifted their analysis, and they're trying to look for more objective things, and they're using nurse practitioners and PAs, and that just the fact that they use those type of trained people makes the analysis more shallow, just based on who they use to look at it. They're not going to go as deep. They don't have the same knowledge base, and they're not going to understand the interconnections of everything. So,
well, that's true. They're not educated. They haven't been educated to what to look for in reading these progress report, medical reports, and this and that they get from doctors and hospitals and everything else. Usually the data is all there. It's just they're not paying attention to it, or they just don't know what they're reading. They don't understand.
Right.
But anyway, I'm looking. I'm hoping the ramp program will work, but right now I don't have too much faith in what I've seen so far.
Yeah, so like I said, my strategy is going to be to try and get as much medical testing data as I can up front, when we first get the claim in. And the second thing, I'm going to try and put in relevant, testing and more relevant evidence along the way.
That's the only option I see you have, Dr. Bass. Get it all in up front that you possibly can.
Yeah.
And, usually there's other things lurking in the background, but at least if you can get the ball going, someone will pay attention to it. But it's got to be there in the beginning.
If they don't look at it, on the first claim, if they deny it and you reapply for another claim, then anything else you put in can be new information. So maybe a lot of these claims will go in. If ramp is really fast and they bring them in, they deny them quickly. The patient reapplies with a new claim and new evidence. Maybe that's the way to do it too. It's cumbersome and you lose retroactive, but you might get the rating right.
I think you're right. They do lose their retroactive. But if you get a speedy reply, it wouldn't mean that much. But if you go on for years,
that's a big deal.
Then it can turn into quite a sum, and it seems like the longer a claim runs, the harder it is to get a satisfactory result out of it. And that's just the way the system works. They'll play with it for a while. Maybe they'll get it squared away, but last I heard, they was already having quite a backlog on the ramp, so I don't know how they're going to be able to keep up with that. I believe that'll tell.
Something else
Go ahead.
These short, you see these short decisions now, and Krieger and I were talking about this today, that they'll list the evidence. So, like, say, Dr. Bash's BBQ and letter, and then they won't ever describe it, talk about it, or expand on it in the decision. So that's another fertile place for CUE, because if there's things in my letters or the medical record that they don't look at and don't describe that are positive that could change the outcome, then that's CUE, because they never really considered it. So in the speed that they're trying to do these cases now, there's going to be a lot of places where they're just going to blow by. They're going to list a bunch of medical evidence, and they're just going to blow by it with a boilerplate and make lots of mistakes.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's what it's going to boil down to. There's a lot of mistakes.
So I guess the way to fix that, if they go, say the RAMP program sends out all these decisions that are error-filled, then there might be a huge increase in CUE cases, and then the VA is going to have to pay those cases anyway. So maybe that's the way that the patients can get a positive, correct result out of the whole thing.
Well, let's hope there's some sort of recourse, because it sounds like they're already done their thing. If there's no evidence, and no nothing, they only have one option, but that's to deny it. So that means the poor veteran's got to appeal it. And I don't know if it goes back to the regular claims process or what it does, but sooner or later, I'm surprised they haven't eliminated the claims process after you switch over to RAMP.
Yeah, I think you're stuck. I think you're stuck with either filing a new claim, probably be filing a lot of new claims with new evidence, start over again, or going to the BVA, which could take a long time,
Well, that's going to eat up everybody's retro if they do that. And so the BA still comes out on top.
Right.
Whether it's intentional or not, that's the way it's going to work out.
It might get hard. It might get hard to get lawyers to help you too, because if they eliminate all the retros through this process, then there's not a lot of incentive for lawyers to help, and veterans might have a harder time getting, legal help if they want it.
Yeah, that's another good point too. I don't know what it's going to take to make this thing work. The BA tried to get me to go RAMP. They sent me the paperwork on it. Matter of fact, I spoke to the VA today, and they wanted me to, every time I talked to them, we want you to switch over to RAMP. And I said, no, I'm going to leave my claim the way it is. It's been in the system so long now, switching to RAMP, it would be if you guys ain't done it now, you ain't going to get it done in a RAMP period of time. And
they're really pushing RAMP. I've had veterans get 3 letters in the mail about RAMP,
Yes, they are pushing it. Yes. And I told them, no, I've read through the paperwork, and I didn't like what I read, and I'm going to leave my claim in the process it's in. And I expect them to do their job properly. About all you can tell. I don't like the RAMP. Some people may be okay, but for me it wasn't. I just going to have to fight it out to the end, I guess. But they're sure pushing RAMP really hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, well, Dr. Batch, we're about out of time here. You want to give us your contact information?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Best way to get me is to Google Dr. Craig Bash, and find all my websites and my videos. I go to ABC News and another video. My video has stuff that it's drbash at doctor.com, spelled out doctor, doctor.com. And then my scheduler guy is Skip. He's at 925-381-7561. So I talk to Skip like 2 or 3 times a day. Just call Skip up and tell him, hey, I want to talk to Dr. Bash, and he'll set you up at a time when I'm not typing, or studying stuff. Or have more time for calls, and that's usually like a day, same day or next day. So 925-381-7561. Skip's in California. You can text him or you can call him, and he'll hook you up with me.
Oh, okay, good deal. And Bill, he's fixing to come back. When did you say he was coming back?
Bill's going to come back in a month, I think, or so. So he's planning on coming in. He's got a couple of good CUE cases we can talk about in great detail with the VA regulations and the manual. So we're all
good
set to
deal.
be on the show.
Yeah, he's sharp as a tack, ain't he? He knows that.
Bill, yeah.
Boy, he knows them
Bill
VA laws.
1976, so he's been doing it a while.
yeah, he's sharp. I like hearing that. He knows them inside and out.
Yep. So Bill used to work at the local office, and he worked at the PVA at the appeals level, and he did a lot of work at the court, back and forth to the court. And then he was at the VA, central office for a while, for decades. So he's got lots of levels of experience too.
Yes, he does, and it shows. I mean, that's really, really a good deal. We're certainly glad to get him on too. And you've really give us a lot of good information here, Dr. Batch, and we appreciate it. We want these veterans out here to know everything they possibly can, and let them know they're not alone. There's people that trying to give them information. Best, if we can get our hands on it, we'll put it out there. So we'll just keep on keeping on.
All right. Well, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. See you later.
Yeah, same to you, Dr. Batch, and thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. We do appreciate you.
Hey, Bass, do you have any questions at the end? Anything you wanted to fire on?
No, you hit the topics pretty good. No, he hit the topics pretty good. I just sitting back and soaking all the information in there. So, if I have any questions, I will contact Dr. Baxter.
Thank you all for listening. That ends this show. And now I'm going to zoom off.